Hey everybody, this is Tara with Healing Adventures, where we inspire, motivate, and activate your truth, your passion, and your mission on this planet. I want you to stay tuned for this entire video because if you've been following my last few videos, I am doing this 12-week overhaul in my finances, and today I'm going to go over the actual details and numbers of my finances, what I'm making, what my bills are, basically all the numbers. So stay tuned and watch all the way to the end of this video. So hey everybody, it's Tara with Healing Adventures. Okay, so I will say the first thing that comes up for me when I'm doing these videos is I just don't even want to do it. And every week I come here and I sit down and I get all freaked out, stressed out, and then I think, why am I doing this? This is really stupid. Like, people don't care. Like, what the hell am I doing this for? And I have to remind myself why I'm doing it. Somebody took his life over finances. I'm committed that nobody do that again. I have been in that position where I thought and contemplated suicide when I was going through foreclosure about 10 years ago. I literally lost everything over the course of a few years. I lost my car, house, job, career, everything. So there is a part of me that resonated when I heard this story of this gentleman who lost his life. And that really is what has me sit here every week and, share all of this with you. So I hope that somebody gets something out of this process of me going through this process for myself. So as I shared with you, I'm going to go over the numbers. Now, last week I did talk about getting into my spending habits. I will say I did not get to that piece this week, so I will commit to sharing my spending habits in the next video. But I am going to tell you what all my raw numbers are. And I mentioned to you that I had hired a financial advisor, Michael Santinato, and you can find his links below, along with the Financial Ninjas community that I'm in. The links are below, so you can take a look at those. But Michael had me do a couple worksheets. The interesting thing is as I was starting to do the worksheets, I found that I was procrastinating because I didn't really want to look at the numbers. And then when I pulled up the worksheets and actually did what he asked me to do, I realized, well, I already knew all these numbers because I know my numbers. I look at my numbers often. Prior to a year ago, actually a year and a half ago, I was very rigorous with my finances, but not in a way that would have made the difference for what happened last year. Last year, I got laid off from my job in January. What's interesting is literally within 3 weeks of that time of being laid off, I did get a new job. I was chosen for a new position. But rather than choosing to take that job because it didn't fit inside of what I thought I needed in terms of my schedule for my son, because I'm a single parent, I turned it down. I took a huge risk and chose to solely focus on my hypnotherapy business, when really what I should have done was kept my hypnotherapy business running on the side, and I should have taken this position that I had received because it was a really great opportunity, even though I didn't feel it met the requirements. Remember, if you saw my list of requirements video, this falls into that. So I didn't take the position. I dove deep into my hypnotherapy practice, which went very, very well and was ramping up over the course of a few months. And then it hit a plateau and things started not coming in as quickly as I needed it to in order to continue moving forward with my financial obligations and responsibility. The other thing is I went ahead and I took out my 401k to help in this process. I took out all of my savings that I had, which was not a whole lot. It was less than $20,000. And I figured I would use this money to help fund me and get me through. Well, here's the other piece I didn't do. I didn't tailor and scale my monthly expenses and living habits into what I had. I kept living my normal spending and expense habits when I was making a lot less money. So then what happened is later in the year, I had to get a job. That position had a lot of hope. It ended up not being as good as I thought, and I had to let that position go recently, and I now have another position that has a much more higher upswing in potential. Basically, I had to get another job to continue to supplement what was coming in with my hypnosis business. But I want to get into the numbers so we can really just look at this.
Note, these numbers are relative. Please do not judge the number.
And I'm going to preface all of this with, I am embarrassed to share this information because I think, as many of you know, we live in a world of like, don't share with people how much you make. Don't share with people what your payments are. Don't share with people what your bills are, your expenses, how you spend, what it costs, like all this shit. We're like, do not tell anybody anything. Just have them, I guess, expect or think that, oh, you must be doing fine, you know? So, and I share these numbers because I have to get real with myself. And I feel when you know it, like the raw data, it can actually empower you to begin to make different choices because you actually get to see, where is all my money going? Now, those of you who are incredibly great with your money, who are incredibly frugal, who are amazing investors, who have just made really great choices with your money, I acknowledge you because that is an area I have struggled all my life. So those of you who do amazingly, thank you for who you are, and any tips you want to share, I am all open ears. Now, for those of you who might be more like myself, who like to avoid, who look at the data but don't really, get to the nuts and bolts of the data, who might be heavy spenders, who aren't very good savers, or who save a little but don't do great at saving, or who don't budget, etc. Those of you, like, I am speaking to you. And I hope that this supports you and helps you. So now you're gonna know all my ugly truths. So here it is. So in 2017, I made 6 figures. I made just roughly under $140,000. Okay, so now you know how much I made. In 2018, I made $66,000, okay? Now, just to give you a sense, I have no idea how we lived the way we lived last year on $66,000. When June hit, I began to panic. I began to really stress out. I began to really worry because I saw that I wasn't able to make my mortgage. In June of last year, I was doing a session with a woman, a very dear, amazing woman, who did not know my financial situation, who did not know what was going on with me. And after the session that she had done with me, the hypnosis sessions, she said, us single mothers need to stick together, and I want to do something for you. I would like to give you your mortgage, the amount that you have in your mortgage. And she said, and see it as a loan, you can pay me back whenever, but I'd like to give you that money. Now, I share this because A, she had no idea my situation, okay? None. B, I was stressing out so deeply. I was praying like nobody's business, and I was asking God in the universe, like, how am I gonna do this? The lesson there was for me to learn in that moment was to receive. I'm not a great receiver. I don't do very well at receiving. I've been a single parent, I've been a single individual, I've been very independent all my life, and I've had to take care of myself pretty much all my life. And although I've had all these beautiful grace of God's angels that have come into my life at various times in my life, I'm pretty self-sufficient, and I don't do very well when people want to offer me things. So I had to look at receiving, and I allowed her to support me in that moment. Now, throughout the rest of last year, various situations like that came up where, how am I going to feed my child tonight? How am I going to pay for the car payment? How am I going to pay for these things? Or I had scheduled a trip to California to do hypnosis sessions. I had a trip scheduled to Florida to get a hypnosis session done. I magically found tickets in my drawers here in my office that I forgot I had. So all of these little things were occurring last year where things were just coming to me as long as I was willing to let go and allow for flow. Okay, I was really having to let go of my fear, and my fear of survival, my fear and instinct to panic and go into survival mode. I had to keep breathing through that and keep releasing. We had an amazing year last year, my son and I. We did all kinds of things. We had all kinds of fun, all on $66,000, which was $70,000 less than what I was making the year before. Now, I also saw that I wasn't able to pay my mortgage, so I immediately got in touch with my bank. I have been through foreclosure. I went through foreclosure in 2006 actually. Went through foreclosure, and in that process, as I mentioned before, contemplated the whole suicide thing. Got through all of that. So in this situation, I said, okay, I'm going to call the bank. I'm going to get in touch with them immediately. Lucky for me today, the bank has multitudes of programs. So I began the loss mitigation process and began applying for a loan modification, which I thought would be done by the end of last year. And I thought I would be out of the woods and everything would be good. I got the job last year. I was still doing hypnosis sessions. Enough money would be coming through. The loan modification would be approved. That is not what happened. I'm still applying for the loan modification. It has been 12 months now that I have not paid my mortgage. Each time the loan modification I sent in, they would lose some paperwork or they would not receive some paperwork, so then I would have to reapply. It has now been 12 months that I have not paid my mortgage. One would say, how come you haven't foreclosed on your home yet? Well, I'll tell you in a minute, but let me go through these numbers. And then I'm going to tell you about the foreclosure process. My total debt, including my house, my car, a student loan, everything, and some credit card debt that I now have, which I didn't have as of last year, but last year I racked it up trying to survive. My total debt is $386,000. That is if I would walk in and pay everything off to zero. And so let's just add another 1,000 in case I'm missing something. So 387, okay? So my monthly debt, or you could say my monthly nut, is about $4,600 a month. Right now, I'm about, if I remember what the numbers I looked at last week, I'm about $1,500 shy every month of that entire monthly nut, okay? Now, if I were to bring my house current and pay all of my debt, all the credit card bills, I have a couple medical bills, all these little things, that's a total of $54,000. Now, $28,000 of that is my house to bring my house current. 11.5 or so $11,500 of that is my car. $738 of that is my medical bills. $9,712 is my credit card debt. Like I didn't have that a year ago or a little over a year ago. It just like makes me want to vomit. And loans. I have a couple loans, $4,300. So I said I would mention spending. I haven't done the spending. I will take a look at that this week. I will say sharing these numbers, it's a little intimidating sharing this with you, but I realize that I feel empowered in this moment because, okay, I can create a plan and this is doable. Like I can do this. Knowing that my entire total debt is $386,000, which again is a big number, but when I break it down, it feels like I can find a way to do this. This is not something I can't do. I'm telling you right now, my body is just wanting to like, whoo. So, you know, those are my numbers. That's my raw truth. This is where I'm at today. I am making a plan with my financial advisor. I have given him all of my numbers. He is looking at areas in which I can do things differently and take new actions, different steps. As I shared with you, I'm going to go into the spending, and let me talk about the foreclosure real quick, and then I'm going to go a little deeper into that next week. I was finally sent a foreclosure notice, and it didn't feel good. For the most part, I felt very at peace through this process, but once I saw that there was an actual sale date, I began to panic. I began to think, oh shit, it's really happening again. So I'm gonna go into that a little bit more next week because some awesome, amazing things opened up this week inside of that presented a plethora of new options and solutions that I now feel so much freedom around. And I'm not afraid of foreclosure. And anybody out there who has either been through it or who you might be up against it, don't be afraid of it. I'm going to go into some things next week that will discuss options that are available to everyone when it comes to this process, and things that I didn't know the first time I went through. So that is pretty much it for today. That was a lot. Thank you so much. Stay tuned. Next week, I'm going to go deeper into my spending. I'm going to go deeper into this foreclosure process. It's a journey, right? And then I'm eventually going to share my plan. When Michael and I get together, we're going to create the plan of what's next, and you'll watch me through that process, because I don't believe it's going to be very easy for me to tighten things up, get really rigorous with my spending habits. So thank you to everyone who's watching. Please check the links below for Michael Santanato, financialninjas.com, for my amazing photographer, Jefferson Carroll. All the links are below. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. If you like what I'm sharing, or if this resonates with you, or you know somebody who this may make a difference for, please share this video. If you like what I'm up to, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, ring the bell. It will notify you when all the new videos come out. And thank you. You guys all have an amazing week, and I'll see you next week. Have a great day.